Hold on, I'm getting my sneaky water in here.
You gotta wait till we go live. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome
we've been
to
live
another
for
episode of Live here on Keystroke Medium. I am Josh Hayes, as always, here with Scott Moon, and tonight we're returning for I don't even know how many times Casey's been on the show. It's probably like
I'm like a parasite. I just won't go away.
it's like the most showiest person ever, Casey.
Digital PFA.
I think you're on par with like David Weber as returning guests, and then all
Nice.
the longest running show guests.
Nice, yeah.
Marissa, you've been on the show at least one time before.
One time.
And I think you were on with Casey the last time.
I was.
Listen.
I'm her parasite.
All about parasites.
I was gonna say they make a cream for that.
I mean, not for me. I'm very resistant.
So tonight we brought them back together again for a triumphant return to Keystroke Medium. We're going to be talking a little bit about their negotiation anthology, which just launched. It's been several weeks at #1 bestseller in this category. It's doing really well.
Yes.
Actually, it might surprise you guys to know, but it's also sponsored several episodes in the last couple of weeks on the show. So we wanted to pimp your guys' anthology because you're cool.
Well, welcome to our negotiation.
Hey. For sure.
Thank
For
you.
sure.
Everybody in the live chat, welcome everyone for showing up on the YouTubes and on the Facebook since we're simulcasting tonight. That's a cool thing that we do here now. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube, welcome and share it around. Give us a like and a thumbs up. Tonight's sponsor is me. Because my second Valor novel comes out tomorrow. So Echoes of Valor will launch tomorrow, and it was a hell of a book to put together. And I will put the link in the live chat. It'll be in the show notes, and we'll talk about it a little later in the show when we get to that point. But since it's my show, I get to commandeer it every once in a while for a sponsorship.
Talk about the multiple endings that you can.
Yeah, exactly.
So choose your own ending book.
Yeah,
Right.
It's a I'm gonna write 85% of the book in like 2 months and then spend a whole month writing the last 15% of the book while scratching your face into the keyboard because it doesn't ever work.
That checks out. Yeah.
That checks out. Like everybody's like, yep.
In there.
Well, let's go around the room and talk about what we've been up to. We can do volunteers, or I can just point and name click. We'll go with Scott first. Scott's over here.
I can see you pointing at me, although it looks like you're
I'm
pointing.
pointing
I'm not sure where
direction.
you're pointing. You got it.
Go, Scott.
I think. So I finished Reaper 7, Will of the Reaper. Got that set up with some pre-order for November 3rd, I think. Working on Ashland, a project I've been commandeered into, which is going to be awesome. Somebody else did most of the work on that, so that's always nice.
Yeah.
And then, we can do it later. And then just doing some other things. And then I had a bunch of problems with my Scrivener phone app, which people are like, why are you so upset about this? But it really kind of ruins my. I tried something else. I've been trying Ulysses and Google Docs, and those are both working very well. So pretty
cool.
Yeah, so I like that a lot. That's about it.
I'm interested to try Ulysses because the screenshots you showed me look like it's a really like clean setup.
It's very clean. It's basically a text editor that uses markup language, so it looks kind of funny because it'll have like kind of like CSS tags in front of some of the words. So if you have an italics, it'll have underscore line on both ends and then change the color of it. It looks kind of weird, but when you export it, it just looks like normal. But there's no hidden code, so it exports really clean, and it's supposed to make good documents like in Vellum and stuff like that when you export to Word, then develop.
Interesting.
Cool.
And I turned 50. That was the other thing I probably should.
Happy birthday to you.
And I ate a $40 steak for my birthday, so it was good.
As you do.
Nice.
As you do.
Yeah, you should.
So speaking of 50, my dad just went to his 50th year high school reunion.
Dang.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, did you have that many people still left?
Nope.
and then he looked at me like, I'm not that old, Josh.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
Not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet. Whatever, you least don't dead in a minute.
I feel better.
What about you, Casey? What have you been up to this week?
This week, nothing.
Like she's the one like over in Japan doing all the cool things, and she's like, I ain't doing nothing. Whatever.
I flew to Mount Fuji yesterday, and that was pretty cool.
I mean, who hasn't? Honestly, who hasn't?
Anyway.
Yeah. So as far as writing is concerned, I've been working on finishing up edits for my sci-fi noir collaboration with Griffin Barber's Second Chance Angel. We've been working with an amazing Betsy Mitchell is our editor, and she's a like really. Am I making weird sounds?
There's a weird feedback.
Yeah, that was really crazy. Like it was just like somebody just ran to the room and smashed your microphone with a speaker. I'm not sure what happened.
Okay. Is it okay now?
It's fine now.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, so Griffin and I are doing edits, finishing up edits for that. And we hope that should come out fall of next year, fall of 20, from Blackstone Publishing. And then still working on the draft for Skies to Conquer. That's the third book in my Psyche of War series. Third and right now final. I don't know if I'll do more. Just kind of depends. And that's about it. Yeah. So
lots of work. What about you, Marissa? What have you been up to?
Well, last weekend I went to a Winona Earp convention, which was amazing. So much dang fun. And then I am trying desperately to get back into a routine of writing because I have not written in the last week. A new anthology came out last Friday, Salvage Conquest, which is pretty badass. That was exciting. It's been chasing negotiation all through the rankings. So it just, I have
it caught us once. Yeah,
it did. Yeah. That negotiation climbed back up. It's because I'm in both.
You are.
There are a lot of really great writers in both. So that next I'm working on a Zool novel with Mark Wandry, which are the alien dogs, because I've written about alien cats, so I should write about alien dogs.
Indeed.
Which is very exciting. And then I have a list of like 8 projects that I'm definitely going to get to very soon.
You can do, when you have both of those novels written, you can get a whole bunch of author copies and then have somebody throw them down on you, so it's literally raining cats and dogs.
And I could like shake them. Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria.
That's funny.
Oh, that was a horrible joke. I apologize.
You're welcome. It was wonderful.
The setup was good though.
It was all, you carried all the weight for that one.
It's a cross corner teamwork right there.
Oh, I like that cross corner. This is good because one of the shows we used to do, one of the programs we used to do, would put all the windows up, but it was completely random on everybody's screen. So like right now, I'm top left and Scott's top right. But in the other one we used to use, it was just random. Like nobody knew who they were pointing at. So I could be like, Scott's down here, but he's actually over here.
He's over there for me. Yeah.
I don't even know how to do. Do I look as ridiculous as I look? Trying.
You look like you might be
great. I'm just gonna keep doing
this.
I feel like the Brady Bunch, actually.
A little bit, yeah.
Like
we should like push. Oh wait, no, this way. There we go.
Hi, Marisa. Hi, Scott. Or no, Scott's over there. Over there.
I love Streamlabs because I can do this and switch it. And,
no.
And then do. Oh no, I guess
it didn't change.
It didn't switch. That's odd.
We just got bigger.
I can just do the whole show and just screw with people.
You do it to like emphasize, like, oh wow.
I tell you, I have been absolutely lazy this week. I started plotting out book 3 for the Valor trilogy, and tomorrow we're launching, and I'm very nervous about it, as always with every launch. But I'm excited to see what happens with it, and got invited into a new anthology today, so that's fun. Hopefully we'll be able to talk about that soon. And good things are happening. So you guys have been on the show, both, I think, talking about Assassins. I don't know if we talked about Hunter the last time you guys were on, but we definitely talked about Assassins. And those 2 books in the Four Horsemen universe have done very well, and now you have an anthology out based around the characters. Did you guys create those characters, or did you use them that Chris has already done a lot with them? Because I know that you were very, like Casey, you've done a lot of stories with them, so I didn't know like how that all came together. I'm interested in that.
As far as the Depic characters,
yeah.
So all of the Depic characters that Marisa and I've written about are our own creations. The first appearance of the Depic ever was in Golden Horde, I think, and that was a scene that was written by Chris Kennedy, where basically he just had this sort of throwaway alien that he needed an assassination attempt against one of his people, and so he created this, you know, throwaway alien. And clearly he and I were on some kind of like brainwave, because I hadn't even read Golden Horde; it wasn't out yet, when he contacted me to do a short story for A Fistful of Credits, which was the first first anthology in the Four Horsemen universe. You guys were both in it, and he contacted me, and I read through the Bible and stuff, and I was like, you know, I see all these races, but there's nothing that's cat-like, and I have 2 cats, and I was like, well, this would be cool, you know, to do like a cat. And as anyone who's ever owned cats knows, they really are assassins. Like they're just little sociopaths, you know. They just kill things because it's fun.
Play with their prey.
Yeah.
And so I contacted Chris, and I was like, hey, I kind of have this idea for a cat, kind of a assassin type, you know, culture. And he was like, oh, really? And he sent me that scene, and I was like, well, cool. So does that mean no, or does that mean yes? And he was like, he goes, well, yeah, you can feel free to develop it. Just make sure it's consistent with this scene. So since the scene wasn't out yet, I actually talked him into the dissolving body thing, the no one gets the body, because I wanted their physiology to be somewhat of a mystery in order to explain some of their abilities. And so anyway, so I wrote Gilded Cage, you know, which is about the Depic, and then they liked it and invited me to do a novel, and I was like, hey, that sounds like a lot of fun. And then I called Marisa and was like, I kind of like tricked her into writing with me. So I sent her the story, and I was like, hey, how do you like this? And she goes like, oh my gosh, it's great, I love it. I was like, cool, I'm glad you love it. Do you want to write a novel with me in that universe? And she was like, yes, I think so. So
yeah. You know how they say yes to things that terrify you a little bit?
Right.
So
had you guys worked on any projects before that?
Yes.
Not professionally, but absolutely yes. Absolutely yes.
Yes, 20-ish years of Pern fanfic. So somebody was joking in the comments earlier on about Anne McCaffrey being recommended to them by Amazon, and I was like, yeah, obviously. It's how I started writing. It's like it knew.
You know, I have not read any of those books.
I read
Oh my gosh.
So good. Awesome. Scott read them.
They're so good. Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, they are. There's an entire shelf in my office, not the ones behind me, but they have their own special shelf to the side, just Anne McCaffrey.
Yeah, I have a shelf like that too. It's currently in storage, but it exists.
Oh, my question about that series would be, has it aged well? Because like I know a lot of classic fantasy, like I read a lot of new fantasy, like Sanderson and Peter V. Brett. Has it aged well? The books, does it still I don't even know what.
Yeah, yes, I would say yes. But yeah, I think it does. Yes. Yeah, there are aspects of it that you read now and you're like, okay, that's a little cringy.
Yeah.
Right. But the overall arc of the stories and the themes of like companionship and you know, what do you do for the ones you love? I think those things are fairly universal and stuff. And Anne McCaffrey's language specifically, I learned so much about how I want to utilize language just from reading her work, because she has such a beautiful way of building a scene for you and of bringing you into the character's mind and into their emotions. And so that was a significant influence on the way that I particularly write. So if you like my stuff, you'll probably like her stuff.
I should probably check it out. Check it out.
I'd be interested to know what you think.
Speaking of cats, I'm interested. Have you guys ever read The Aeronaut's Windlass by Jim Butcher?
No,
I
haven't, and I've been told that I need to.
So you mentioned cats and how they're assassins and stuff. He has talking cats in his story. And I'm allergic to cats, so I'm I don't like being around them because they make me just. But his interpretation of cats and how they think and talk, hilarious, like ridiculously good. Loved it. I think those characters were some of the best characters in that whole book. He hasn't written the second one. It's been years, so who knows if he'll write a second one, but it's really good.
That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah, that might be post Ally. I will read it.
Right. Yeah. One of these days. One of these days, I'll check that out.
Are you guys going to write another Dybbuk novel?
We are.
Yes.
The third book is called Ally, and I think we're going to get started on it later this year, end of this year, early next year.
Whenever we,
someday soon.
Soon.
Are they a series of standalone novels, or are they going to connect bigger than that?
So they could, yes, they are standalone novels. They do feed into one another, and they do feed into the larger Four Horsemen universe. So if you were interested, you could just read the Dybbuk books. But you'd be missing quite a bit, in terms of like the overall backstory of why these big world changing events happen. So, of course, I recommend to everyone read all of the Four Horsemen books because you'll never run out of anything to read.
Literally never.
About the Four Horsemen stuff is even the anthologies fall in line in a certain sequence of books that you can read them separately, but they're all of the books, whether they're like standalone like yours or like core like Kennedy books or Wandery books or whatever, they're all lined up together. So they all connect, which I think is very cool.
Yeah,
it is cool. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was my warning that I'm supposed to do Keystroke Medium right now.
Thanks, calendars.
Yeah.
There you go.
But it's really impressive. I think how Mark and particularly Chris is the continuity keeper have been able to kind of keep all that stuff in line, and it's been really cool. So.
Yeah, and there are a couple of graphics on Chris Kennedy's website to see different ways that you can read the books in different orders.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they do a nice job keeping that updated.
Yeah.
So when you went ahead to do the anthology, obviously you got with Chris and said, "Hey, we want to do this," and he gives you the blessing. So is your goal for the anthology for negotiation? We want stories that connect, or we just want stories that have to do with the Dybbuk characters, or what was your goals going into it?
We had two. So we wanted, something pretty big happened to our Dybbuk assassins in Hunter. And knowing there would be some time before Ally, we had two goals. One, what do other surviving hunters do after that big event all across the universe? Because we only told the perspective of two.
Yeah.
Well, maybe less than 10. So one, what happens there? And then two, as they're putting themselves back together, what kind of legends do the galaxy's badassiest assassins tell about themselves? Like, what are their myths and stories? Badassiest, technical terms. And so we gave that to the authors of one of two choices. Do you want to tell this tale of survival, or do you want to tell a myth or legend from the hunter race? So, and then we pulled it together with a frame narrative.
Was it hard to, as the authors are sending in their stories, was it hard to corral that, or did it happen very naturally with the authors?
The authors were great. The biggest hurdle that we ran into is right in the middle of collecting all these stories, I moved to Japan. And so we, there was like a period of like a week where I was for sure like not in contact at all. And then trying to reestablish contact with now being in a new time zone and being, checking on each of the authors and making sure that we corresponded back with everyone who corresponded with us. It was I would say that I was the problem child for this project for that reason. But no, the authors were without exception really great about communicating, and letting us know kind of what their timelines were like, and if they needed extensions and stuff. So, and we are not dumb girls. So we knew that, having been authors begging for extensions on anthologies, both of us, maybe once or twice.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we specifically built in
the deadline.
Or writing, right? Yeah, turning it in at 11:59 the day of the deadline.
Yeah.
Hi, Jamie.
Yeah, we built some time in for that. So we initially said, hey, this is our initial deadline. If you need more time, let us know. But we would like them by this date. And then we knew that we had a hard date that we had to have everything compiled. The thing that was complicated was trying to. We had to get them in time in order to construct the frame narrative that wove throughout. We were able to do it because, again, we built that time in. But that was, we were pushing a little bit.
One of Scott McGlasson out here said, "Was it hard to herd cats?" That was delightful. And to Casey's point, everybody followed the theme. You know how you always have
Casey's trying to move her camera now because the thing blocked her face.
It's over our faces. There we go.
There you go.
Anyway, that was a worthy quote to be over my face.
It was for sure.
But so everyone stuck to the theme. You always have the one really talented author who's but here's this great story that isn't on theme. And we didn't have that. We had really talented authors who gave us these really on point stories.
Right.
What are some tips for constructing a frame narrative if somebody was going to do an anthology? I mean, where do you start with a project like that?
So the way that we did it, we looked at, we kind of started, I think, with the theme that we had given to the authors, because we knew we wanted to focus on stories and this concept of what is the connection between a story and a race or a people or a group of beings, and what parts do those stories play in constructing an identity of said group. And so the frame narrative that we came up with was essentially like an archivist or a pair of archivists gathering in these stories, some of which are tales of survival after this big cataclysmic event that occurred in Hunter, and some of which are just legends from their people that they're collecting in order that they're not lost because of said cataclysmic event. And then so we knew that it was going to be a story of some people collecting stories, and then we same as any other story, we built the character, and then I sort of looked at it. I think we looked at it kind of all right, so we have this story. How do we intro that? What would these characters say about, this amazing legend that Jody Lynn Nye sent us, or about this crazy tale of survival that, that Jamie Ibsen sent us? How would these characters feel about that story, and what would they say about it to each other?
Cool.
Talking about the frame narrative and what you guys are doing with the anthology, you also have the kind of the bigger picture as it's connected to the Four Horsemen universe as a whole. So did you guys have to, did I just lose volume?
You got really quiet, yeah. Oh, are we all, I'm like,
we're all like,
come in, Houston. Oh, now you're gone.
Nothing, you're totally gone.
Wompity womp. It seemed like it's going to be a really good question, too.
The funny thing was I muted my mic so I could type a message, and so I'm trying to talk and I'm muted. Josh's equipment's just falling apart.
I'm not sure what's going on. Hold on.
We're holding.
This is cool.
Holding pattern.
Well, in the meantime, while we're in a holding pattern, these comments are awesome over here. The only downside is all of the Facebook folks, it just says Facebook user, so I don't know who you are. But one of them said this was an awesome frame to write within too. Having the left and right limits like that were great. That is it's really fun. I think I don't want a super tight box. Oh, wow. Do not take that out of context. I don't want a super, you know what? Here we are. It's after hours. It's late. It's fine. I don't want too many rules for a story, but I like. Now I'm gonna turn red. But I like to have some guidelines because it helps me get the story done. Hey Kevin, I can very super glad you got to be in that part of my story with me.
That was awesome. I'm just say that was awesome.
Yeah,
great.
yeah, that was awesome.
Thanks.
Well, so while we're talking about boxes, we're talking about.
I was at the Winona Earth Convention last weekend, man. There's a lot of box talk, so I'm ready.
Speaking of wide open boxes, and Chris Kennedy, he's got the. So my question was, you have the framework of the anthology where you have all the stories that you want to fit your narrative specifically, or what you're trying to do with that, and how did you make sure that it fit into the greater and universe of the Four Horsemen? Is that something that you needed to work with Chris on, or did he kind of give you just kind of a broad spectrum, say, hey, just do this and it'll be fine? Because he's very easy to work with. If you've ever worked with Chris on one of his anthologies, he's just, go do what you need to do, make sure you don't mess it up.
Right.
So I'm curious about how your anthology specifically then now fits into the rest of the Four Horsemen universe.
So he very much gave us the reins. And in fact, within the Four Horsemen universe, because Marisa and I developed the Debic race, when other authors want to use them, he has them consult with us to make sure that they fit, that they use, that they don't violate any of the canon that we've established for the race, so that, that we don't have them behaving in a way that's, contrary to whatever we've written. Right. And so he kind of went with that same, he kind of gave us the reins for the whole anthology and was just like, just make sure it doesn't violate any of the canon for not just the Debic race, but anything else that's going on. And because we had the stories focused so specifically on either they were legends and therefore everything was fair game, because it's a legend. And so maybe it's true, maybe it's not, or it was a survival story that was focused pretty tightly around one little box of
one
tight little box of an event that that happened.
I'm going to retitle this episode, I think.
Yeah,
I'm going to retitle it.
Yeah. Somebody already hashtagged this, so
and Marissa's little box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a sharp uptake in sales.
It's that kind of interview. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Nah, we're good.
I just had to mute to explain the tight box comment to my husband, who's off camera.
And
yeah, no, I did. I attributed it, and he was like, "Of course,
yeah,
of course." Why shouldn't it be?
I, on the other hand,
hey, easy.
Special guest appearance.
I don't know that we've
the love of my life.
I don't know that we've actually had a mysterious off-camera special guest before.
Coming to you live from Japan.
It was always a good first. Super tight boxes and mysterious guests are what we do here on.
I mean, look, you really can't go wrong with either of those things.
I mean, you can.
As
long as you say in space at the end of the
right, in space.
Is that kind of one of those things where you read the fortune cookie, but you have to say in bed after all the in space?
Yeah, we had that implied. We're good.
All right, let's break real quick and do the show sponsor read, and then we'll jump back into the show. This is gonna be fun because I'm gonna mess up my own blurb.
We're ready.
I should have had you send it to me, and then I would read it for you.
That's right.
He has a real good promo voice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Echoes of Valor is book 2 in the Valor trilogy, and it's coming out tomorrow, and I'm super excited. It's like snuck up on me, and we actually had to push it back. It was supposed to be the 1st of October, and then we had to push it back because I was super behind and couldn't get it finished. But it's done now, and it's edited, and we've got some really good early reviews and feedback on it. I'll read you the blurb.
The whole book.
The whole book. I'm going to read the whole book right now. Echoes of Valor. The truth is out there. In the aftermath of the Stonemaier disaster, Special Agent Jackson Fisher is determined to uncover the truth behind the failed mission and bring those responsible to justice. But growing pressure to close the case has everyone on edge, and Fisher is desperate to find more evidence. As Corporal Alan Sheridan struggles to face his demons from Stonemaier, he must also prove himself with his new teammates. Assigned to the Alliance Marine Special Operation Commands, Sheridan and the members of Team Valkyrie, which I have a sticker of.
Yes.
Ooh.
Very nice.
Very ish. Soon find themselves right in the middle of the biggest clandestine operation in the history of the Alliance. The search for truth, however, only leads to more questions. With the Alliance on the brink of war, Fisher and Sheridan must race against the clock to find the answers that will put an end to the conspiracy that threatens to tear the Alliance apart. Echoes of Valor is an action-packed story of bravery, determination, and the will to win at all costs. With higher stakes and deeper mysteries, the second book in the Valor series will keep you turning pages to the very end of Doom.
Of Doom. Yay!
That sounds awesome.
That sounds really good.
It was a beast of a book to write. It was a beast. But I think it's really good. I think people are going to have a lot of fun with it. And hopefully I can start sending these stickers out. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to send them out. But, man, Artie Cabrera did a really good job designing the logo for the team. So I'm really happy about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he just popped up in the chat saying, "You made stickers?" So
oh, yeah. You made stickers, dude.
Yeah. I think he wants one.
If you're looking for any cool thing like that, he does book covers as well, but he says he likes doing this kind of stuff better than book covers. Artie Cabrera does really good work, really fast work.
Nice.
I mean, I think he posted in his feed that he was looking for work over the weekend, and I said, "Hey, could you do me a solid and do me a logo?" And he's like, "Yeah." And back and forth, like 72 hours later, I had a complete deal.
Dang.
So,
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, really good to work with. Really cool and reasonable prices.
Awesome.
So go buy Echoes of Valor. It's available for pre-order right now. Or you can wait till tomorrow and pick it up. Either way, it'll launch. We've got like 500 pre-orders on it, so I'm really nervous to see how it does.
Exciting.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Dude, the first one was so good. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
You
Will
know,
have the same narrator on the audiobook when you get
it will be. Yep, Mark Feeder. We'll do
a great job.
I had a couple people tell me who read early versions of the second book. They said I really kicked it up a notch in the second book from the first one. So I'm really nervous to see what the masses think about it.
Which is funny because we have these conversations every day. We're like having the typical writers saying, like, "I hope it's as good as the first one." Everybody's like, "Oh, it's better than the first one." Like, I don't understand how you could say that.
Yeah.
Why would you do that
Don't
to
make
me?
my babies fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you mean? The
exactly.
first one wasn't any good? What the hell are you trying to say?
At this table. Get out of here.
We're gonna have a fight.
Yeah. So back on Depic.
Depic.
Guppy.
You had how many stories? 13? Is that right? 13 stories?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not counting the frame narrative.
Right. So are you planning to do more? I mean, you have your third novel that you're going to start writing. Are you going to do more anthologies with the Depic? Did you have a really good response? What are your plans going forward with everything?
Unclear right now, actually. The Depic one won't be going away anytime soon. I don't know if we're going to do any more full-length novels focused specifically on them, but I think that we'll have situations where
After our next one.
Yeah, right after Ally. But I think that we'll for sure have situations where you will see Depic showing up in other contexts with other players and stuff. And as far as another anthology, I don't know. It kind of depends on how well this one sells. So if you guys want to try and submit for a Depic anthology, go by negotiation.
Whoop, whoop.
Buy like 6 copies and give them away.
Give them to your
All your
friends.
friends.
Actually, we do have a giveaway later from our guest on last week, so maybe we
Oh,
can do
nice.
a couple giveaways for negotiation too. We'll do a dual giveaway.
Dang, it's exciting.
Stack of giveaways.
Stay tuned for that. We'll do that. Let's say we'll do that in about 15 minutes. That'll give me time to download the mediums list, and it'll give everybody that's not on the mediums list time to go register. If you,
Right, you might want to give it away.
our last guest from Monday was Brian Thomas Schmidt, and he talked about his Simon Says near future crime novel. Going to give 4 ebook copies of that away, and so we're going to give those away tonight on our list. And let's do 4 copies of your anthology as well. We'll give some of those away.
Ooh,
So exciting!
If you are on the mediums list, stay tuned. If you are not on the mediums list, you can go to keystroke.medium.com and then click on the mediums link. It'll give you a little form you need to fill out. It's a little Google form. Put your name and email address in there. It's not a newsletter. We don't ever send emails out unless you win, and it's free. And it's the only way to get free stuff on Arte Cabrera. Super tight anthology.
Yeah.
Go and get it. Super
Super
tight.
tight.
And then we'll do the giveaways here after a bit. Let me find where I was at. Chris, somebody sent here it is. Here is the earlier. I meant to copy this earlier. This is the order for the Four Horsemen universe.
Oh,
For
nice.
how to read it. An assassin is number 13, and Hunter is number 30.
Yep.
And then negotiations is 34.
Yep.
Well, actually, it's more than that because there's another list down here.
There's
Like
that
40
many.
something, yeah.
Wow.
There's over 40 books right now, I think.
Yeah. And that's before next Friday because they are a machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Factory? Probably Factory.
A bunch of
Chris puts together a
Factory.
lot of good books. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen Chris put out a bad book.
Agreed.
They're always good.
And
I need to
Maritza, you've done. I mean, you have stories in almost. Well, I don't want to say all his anthologies, but a lot of his anthologies. I mean, counting the Savage Conquest, which I don't think that's technically Four Horsemen, but he's still doing an anthology.
Mhm.
And
We Dare.
We Dare. I was going to say I thought you were in We Dare,
Mhm.
which is not Four Horsemen, but it's also Chris Kennedy. And From the Ashes, you were in that one too.
I was. I get to do a full novel from that short story, which is
Do you
very
really?
exciting. I do.
That's one of the cool things I like about the Four Horsemen deal, especially with the anthologies, is there's so many people that have done short stories that then get picked up for longer works later. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
doing Chris is doing the same thing with the salvage sorry, not salvage, but the Fallen World shared universe that
That's
From
from
Ashes.
the Ashes. Yeah.
Mhm. The From the Ashes was an anthology in. So that universe was a creation of Christopher Woods. So it's like Team Chris. Team Chris's thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Didn't Christopher write the first one, and then Kennedy wrote the second one, and then
Yeah.
flipped back and forth, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, which is very similar to how the Four Horsemen universe started. So,
Right.
The Chris Kennedy publishing as a whole has had so much success with the sort of shared world concept, not just in making money, but also in, finding new talent and bringing people in and developing authors and stuff. So, I think he was hoping to to kind of replicate that success in the post-apocalyptic urban fantasy realm, which is what the Fallen World is. So, yeah.
So what are you guys working on now separately? I know, Casey, you said you were working on your third Minds of Men book. Are you doing anything else separately that you're working on? And then we'll talk about Marissa, what you're working on.
No. I've been grinding trying to finish out the Minds of Men or the Psyche of War series, so that I can then focus on because I too have a couple of Four Horsemen projects that I want to get involved in. I'm going to be doing submitting a story for the next Four Horsemen universe anthology. I don't know if it'll be a Depic story, but it's going to be something, and that. I think I have to have that in by the end of February or beginning of February, something like that, early in the new year. So I'll have I'll be working on another Four Horsemen universe story. I got invited to the same anthology that you just got invited to. So I'll be working on that secret anthology. So very soon.
There's so many secrets on the show.
I know. So many secrets. So I'm excited to work on that. And then I've got a project with Chris Gannon, or Chris Kennedy, Chuck Gannon, Mark Wandry, Mike Massa, Griffin Barber, and Kevin Eikenberry. The six of us are doing something set in Chuck Gannon's Kane Reardon universe. So I have that coming up in the new year that I need to be working on, and as well as another collaboration project that I'll be working on with. Actually, I don't know if this one's been announced yet. So another collaboration project, secret.
Another super secret.
And at some point, John Ringo and Chris Smith and I are going to finish up book 2, the sequel to Gunpowder and Embers, which Gunpowder comes out in January. So, yeah.
I saw the cover for that book. It looks really cool.
I know. I'm super excited about all of it. That book's been a long time in the making. We started it a couple years ago, and I'm really excited to finally have it, out and seeing the light of day. And I just hope that it pleases John's legions of fans, and that therefore they decide that I'm also awesome and start buying my solo stuff. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm totally mercenary about it.
Capitalism for the win.
That's right.
When it comes to collaborations, I think that's one of the most nerve-wracking things, is coming in with like a super well-known author, and you have to get their fans to like you. One of the cool things I thought, especially with Richard Fox and I doing Terra Nova, is when it was good, they said it was Richard's fault, but when it was bad, they said it was Richard's fault. So I didn't have to, I was like, cool. I didn't do anything bad. That was all Richard. Chris Kennedy in the Facebook broadcast says she also has a fantasy book she wants to write. Ask her about that. That it says Facebook user but it's Chris. I saw it come up.
Chris,
as a fantasy book. Do you want to talk about that?
I do want to talk about it. I didn't know if I could talk about it yet. So that whole shared world thing that we talked about with the
Fallen World,
Four Horsemen universe, and the fall. Yeah. I kind of want to do that for epic fantasy with Chris Kennedy. And so Chris and Marisa and I have been talking for over a year about doing that. And that's one of the big reasons why I'm pushing to finish the Psyche of War universe, so that I can sit down and really concentrate on getting out the first book in this series, establishing the universe, building up the Bible, and getting to the point where we're ready to start building anthologies and bringing people in to write books and stuff. And so, you're on the short list, dude. I got you. So stay tuned for more about that.
That's very cool. I love epic fantasy. I don't care. I like mill sci-fi is where it's at, but I love epic fantasy.
Me too. It's the best.
Do you have Marissa? You were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just excited because we plotted out a lot of those races on a really long car ride. I don't even remember where we were going, but it was very scribbled notes on like the back of receipts that we then like typed into Google Doc. And then I believe Casey pitched it to Chris at a pirate restaurant. So I feel like the epic roots are like already in there. It's already time.
It really has to succeed at that point.
I mean, it really does. You can't if you can't plan an epic fantasy in an epic fashion, then you have no business.
No business.
That's right. That's right.
Very awesome. So like trolls and goblins and all that kind of stuff, or more human based, or do you want to talk about that in depth?
I don't want to talk in depth. I will say that there are magical races. They may or may not be a form that you recognize, and they won't have the same names as most of, they won't have the Tolkien-esque names, just because I didn't want to. I wanted to one of the things that I liked about the Four Horsemen universe was that the alien races, you were able to make them as familiar or as dissimilar as you wanted, you know, when you were developing an alien race. And so I kind of wanted to capture some of that magic too.
Very nice.
Yep.
Marissa, what are you working on later on this year? Solo projects or novels or short stories that you have in the wings?
Yeah. I have it all written down. Actually, I have it all in a Google Doc that I try not to look at. So I have a couple of things. I have this shared fantasy world. I have my full-length novel for Chris Woods and Chris Kennedy's Fallen World. I have a space opera that I have been plotting for like 3 years that I'm really excited about. And so I'm really pumped about that. And someday I'll write it. Right now it's about 4,000 words of notes, which is, you know, helpful.
Yes.
So we've got that. Oh, somebody asked why I use Google Docs. Just for my checklist of writing projects. I don't use it for writing. But it's there so I can access it from my phone or my work computer or wherever I am. And then I have a YA novel. Potentially 2 YA novels, both in the Four Horsemen universe. And yeah. Oh, and there's this other, there was this other fantasy novel that I'm really excited to do. It's somewhere between epic fantasy and like weird Western. I haven't quite decided where it falls yet. It's going to be super weird, but my favorite part about it so far is that it has a legit insane doctor who does medicine by magic, but he has to be super crazy to do it. So
I like that. Have you ever read I'm gonna lose your name now. I think it's Haley Stone. I'm gonna mess it up.
That's who I was thinking you were trying to say. Yes. Yeah.
You need to read her book. It's called Make Me No Grave. And it's I think she's working on the sequel now, but the first one is out. Oliver Wyman did the narration for the audiobook. If you're into audiobooks, definitely check out the audiobook because it's legit narration. But her book is it's not epic fantasy. It's Western, and it's
weird Western,
weird Western set in Kansas actually, which was really cool. Because she mentions the places in Kansas. I'm like, I've been there.
It's always fun. Yeah.
Going to Topeka. So really, really cool. Really cool book. Make Me No Grave.
Awesome.
I bought that on your recommendation, Josh, and loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Nice. Well, I wrote it down. I'm excited.
Just the language I think that she uses in that book. Not only in the narrative, but also in the dialogue, she really, really, really captured Western. Like
it's very visceral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
It was interesting to hear her talk about how she did that, because she did it mostly through research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like hardcore research stuff. It's pretty interesting.
On Facebook, James Coniston says the biggest thing for me about the alien races in the Four Horsemen universe has been that they are not human-like, like what always happens in Star Trek and Star Wars. That makes a lot of sense. You don't get a lot of like Bajoran, like just with little nose crinkles.
Yeah, what's that called? the clay. There's a name for that. Where they just have the clay nose, the clay eyebrows.
I mean, like Klingons, where they just have a little thing on their head, or box ears.
Yeah, the boxes.
I think I'm trying to remember the last Four Horsemen story. I used a Bisquith.
I like the Bisquith. I had a Bisquith.
Oh, I'm doing a Bisquith novel too at some point.
Sure is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
There was like a 6-arm bartender, and I can't remember which one I used.
A Lumar.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I used 2 cockroach type aliens.
The Goka.
Yes. It's fine. Like if you've never written in a Chris Kennedy Four Horsemen anthology, like just getting the Bible is really legit because it's like a 50-page thing, and you're like,
it's really entertaining to read too. You're like, oh, these sound cool. Ooh, these sound cool.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I want to use that. Like, you can't have 45 aliens in your short story. You just can't do it. That I say, challenge accepted, Chris.
Right. That's right.
He hasn't invited me back because I keep busting the word counts. Love you, Chris.
I mean, there are a couple of people who may or may not do that on a regular basis.
Yeah. 8,000 words or 13,000, your choice.
You
really.
know, what's 9,000 words among friends? It's fine.
I mean, it's true. So you may or may not do a second anthology with the Depic, but I love that everybody's so excited about that character or that race of characters. And I like that you did kind of legend. So even if it's not true, even if what they tell in the story didn't or did happen, anybody can really just read it and have fun with it, and it doesn't affect anything that happens in the rest
canon.
Yeah.
And that was honestly Maurice's brainstorm, because I was initially, my concept was, let's just get people to tell us their survival tales about, you know, what happens when this cataclysmic event happens. What do all these Depic that are out in the universe doing? How do they respond? And then when we started talking about some of the individuals that we wanted to invite, you know, a couple of people like Jody Lynn Nye wrote us a story. Dave Butler wrote us a story, DJ Butler. So Jonathan Brazzi wrote us a story. So these are big name authors that may or may not have any exposure to the Four Horsemen universe. And it didn't seem reasonable to be like, hey, would you like to be in our anthology? Here's 40 books to read first, you know? Right. So, so we were talking about, you know, okay, well, how do we distill down what they need? And it was Maurice's idea to say, well, they don't necessarily have to be plugged into the whole backstory of the Four Horsemen universe if they're just telling stories that the Depic would tell themselves. And she said that, and it was like the light bulb went on. I was like, oh my God, girl, you're a genius. This is why I tricked you into writing stories with me.
It's very sweet. It was also very selfish because we had already done the survival piece in Hunter, and I had told a very, very brief legend in Hunter, and I love knowing what kind of stories an alien would tell about themselves. It's so interesting, and I really wanted to write another one. And so selfishly, I was like, but what if we did this thing? I'm going to do this thing, and then we can get all these amazing people to also do this thing.
Right.
So, I feel like many good ideas come from selfishness is my takeaway.
So we were able to. So we were able to distill it down and to provide those authors with, you know, a couple of stories and sort of, you know, a chunk of Bible stuff that just said, here's who the Depic are. This is what matters to them. This is what values them. Here's the main points of what they've gone through recently. You know, if we can tell you more, if you want to know more, if you want to write a survival story, or if you want to write a legend story, then, you know, have at it. So.
Do you guys have, I mean, so all of us here have kind of contributed our own to Chris and his universe, but do you guys have any suggestions or thoughts or tips on authors that are trying to get into those anthologies, or how to present to Chris that, like, how do I do this as an author trying to get into these anthologies, because they're super fun to do? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
So, join the Facebook groups, the Factory Floor and the 42 Merc Guild if you're specifically interested in the Four Horsemen universe. Join those. Pay attention. Chris will occasionally, because one of the great things about working with Chris is that Chris is absolutely 100% dedicated to providing opportunities for new writers and new talent. So he will occasionally announce that there will be an open call for an anthology. And when you're interested in that and you have an idea for it, write your absolute best story, get someone else to look at it, have it be edited, have it be polished, and then submit. And really that's the best way to sort of get in, into this world.
Yeah. I would say, like, step one is follow the rules. Like, the first time is not your time to go over word count. It's not the time to tell something in present tense. It's not the time. Like, it's just not the time. So if you think it's the time to be the special snowflake, you are wrong, and it's not the time. Follow the rules. Tell a kick-ass story. Read it obsessively out loud so you catch as many of the errors as you can. And then, like Casey said, have some other people look at it. Because if you tell a kick-ass story and there aren't a shit ton of typos, I'm cursing all over the place now. Like, that is a huge step in.
Yeah.
And what do you say to those who maybe have never read a Four Horsemen novel? Do you each have a favorite, opposed to your own, which obviously read the Assassin and Hunter novels if you haven't?
Obviously.
Do you have a go-to book or something that would give them kind of the feel of the overall experience without having to read all of the books?
So most of the time what I recommend to people is I recommend that they read the first one, Cartwright's Cavaliers, because that literally introduces the universe. And then I say read A Fistful of Credits, because Fistful was the first anthology, and I thought it did a really good job of fleshing out the rest of the universe. So once you read Cartwright's Cavaliers, that sort of intros you to the meta plot that arcs throughout the 2 series, of the Revelation cycle and the Omega War, and going into this new series that's just introing on Friday. And then plus all of the Tales stories that continue the work that was begun in Fistful, where they're sort of fleshing out the background of other things that do show up in the mainline stories, but also just the universe itself. So
Yeah.
I'm putting the links to those groups in the live chat now. Chris just posted them on Facebook, so I'm entering into the live chat so they have them on YouTube as well.
I also have a new favorite story. This might not be like a super helpful tell you how to write for an anthology. I totally echo everything Casey said. That, and then my new favorite one in the universe is Black and White. It's the YA, the First Frontiers novel that Mark did. It's fucking awesome. Like, it's such a good story. And it does such a beautiful job. Like, it's this other corner. It's not the full on, like, it's not the Four Horsemen. You can't write about the Four Horsemen for your short story, right? So it is a peek at like what other people are doing early on, and it just gives you a sense of like, oh, this could be how people think about things, or how other aliens think about people. It's really great.
I think that just to kind of piggyback on what Casey was saying on your best presentation, one of the things to think about if you're wanting to submit to an anthology with Chris or with Casey or with anybody that's associated with CKP, a lot of people that have done short stories then go on to do novels after the fact, and that it's not outside the realm to get a bigger deal or to have people like your stuff. So yeah, and they're the best paying anthologies I've ever been in.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, just hands down.
Although I just got paid for We Dare, and that was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Damn, Jamie. Here's to you, sir. I know you're in there.
Yeah, I got both of my payments today, and I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And then I had to figure out why I got 2 payments, and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Details.
Yeah.
I know. Chris gets so annoyed with me every payday because he has to send me separate payments for each anthology, and then a payment for the books, and then different payments for books that I co-write with people. And he's just like, Casey, you're a pain in my ass to pay. So I'm sorry, Chris. Thank you for putting up with me and for continuing to pay me.
Well, we're coming to the end of the hour, and man, we had a lot of good conversations tonight. It's first of all, I always love having Casey on the show. And Marissa, glad you came back. We need to get Marissa on as a solo guest and really dig down into her tight
box. Yep. Mm-hmm. Cool.
There it is.
Full circle.
Some things just never can.
Just won't die. Some things just won't die.
Yeah. Might as well get a tattoo now. So.
Yeah.
No.
So if you haven't bought Negotiations yet, go and buy Negotiations. It's a really good anthology. I highly recommend it. I know that Casey and Marissa put a lot of love and time into the book, and you should really go check it out. And that's it for tonight. I think that we had. Let's look. I can't even scroll through all the comments because there were so like. First of all, somebody was trying to give you names for the next anthology. Oh, you still have the giveaway to do too.
There were some good ones.
There was some, and now I've lost them all because there's no. Let me see here.
Well, one was the YA one, and tomorrow is prom. That's my favorite. I want to.
Let me see here. Let's pull up the mediums list and do some giveaways. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun.
While you're doing that, can I pimp the authors that are in negotiation real quick?
Absolutely, you can. Absolutely.
Okay. So just a real quick rundown of who is in negotiation. So you should definitely read our anthology, fall in love with their work, and then go find their other stuff. Our headliners. So Mark Wandry, who's the creator of the Four Horsemen universe, he wrote an amazing story about a character that you may or may not see again. Wink, wink. And then Jody Lynn Nye, who is an amazing person and an incredibly talented writer. She actually worked with Anne McCaffrey and wrote Pern stuff. So, hashtag life goals. And she wrote one of the best legends, best constructed legend tales that I've ever seen. Jonathan Brzee, who is a very well-known independent author, award-winning stuff. He wrote a great story for us. DJ Butler, who is writing one of my favorite epic fantasy series ever. He writes the Witchy Eye books. He wrote us a great, really fun legend story. It has a real exotic feel to it, I guess. I don't know. It was really cool. And then we have, some of our sort of stalwart Four Horsemen companions were there with us. So Marisa and I, of course, both have stories. Kevin Eikenberry wrote The Great Hunter, which was a phenomenal story. Kevin Severson wrote a really kick-ass survival story that was a real tearjerker. He told me, because I like to kick people in the gut, he said he was going to try and make me cry. So didn't quite make me cry, but it was really, really good.
I love making people cry with my book.
Yeah. Don't let me forget anyone, Marisa. Okay. I
don't know what order you're going in. Okay.
I'm going in the order that I remember people's names. So Joseph Captifon is a relatively new author that we were so pleased to feature. His story is really fantastic. He wrote another survival story. Casey Moores is one of my best friends from way back, like Air Force Academy back. He wrote it's essentially a Japanese revenge tale as a Depic story. So good. And I think we were his first acceptance. His first pro sale was to us. The first one published was actually in the Salvage universe, but yeah. So still super excited to feature his.
Oh wait, no, I think his first one published was the Bayonet books that I am also in, the Area 51.
Oh, the Area 51 anthology. Yeah. So yeah, J.R. Handy's imprint. That's cool.
That was a huge anthology.
Oh my God. Florida man, indeed.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And let's see, who did I miss?
We also had Jamie Ibsen, who you mentioned earlier.
Yes, Jamie wrote a Coronado's Finest story, which was great.
So good. John Osborne.
Oz, yep. Four Horsemen writer.
Yep.
Yeah, mine too.
Wrote a great story about
this was also a tearjerker.
Yes, his.
Yeah.
Ooh, I liked his. And Terry Mixon, who, with Casey and Mark Wandry, holds the title as being in every Four Horsemen anthology.
Every Four Horsemen anthology. So
I had him on the show a couple weeks ago, and he said the exact same thing.
Yeah, his story was fantastic. It was really, really good. Yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, that's who's in our anthology. Thanks for letting me take the time to go through all that. And yeah, you should definitely check everybody out because they're both very attractive people and really great writers.
We do not know about the state of their boxes. However, they are great.
May or not be. I'm not even. I was just gonna go and reel it back.
Away.
All right, let's give away some books. What do you guys say? Let's see. Let me screen share.
Do a drum roll. That's how that was like.
How do I do this?
Ooh.
Boom.
So fancy over here.
Super fancy, but now you can't see
me. At the bottom of a ladder, I gotta climb.
I need to
just be like, hello.
You can't see me.
Do a high five with me, Marisa. Wait.
Wait, I got it. Nope.
No, other hand. Ready?
No. No.
Boom. Great. 1, 2.
So close. Not even.
I'm in. Okay, I'm ready. Ready?
2, 3.
High five.
That's our first virtual high five on Keystroke Medium. Congratulations.
A high five.
Okay, so let's give away your book first. How about that?
Woo.
Okay.
We're gonna do 4 giveaways, 4 negotiations. I'm gonna get my little official list here. Okay, so how we're gonna do this is there's 46 people on the Medium's list right now, and so we're gonna roll between 1 and 46, and then we're gonna mark out those names. I've blocked out the email addresses, so you
You
crazy
have a
people in
46-sided die?
Huh?
It does. It's on the Google right there. Right
Oh,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
Google has one.
modern world.
on the Google.
Okay. We're gonna do 4 copies of negotiations. Let's see here. Generate the first number. 32. Who is lucky? Winner? 32 is Pat.
Yay, Pat.
Hey, Pat is
Pat.
the first one. All right, I'm gonna gray this out just a little bit so we can see. That way we don't double up. That's not what I wanted to do. Stop it.
Everything is happening.
Yep. Stop right there. Okay, there we go. Let's do that. Okay. Now the next number is 13. Lucky number 13 is David.
Woo!
No, I don't want you to do. Stop. Google Docs. You're killing me, Google Docs.
Get it together, Googs.
And now I'm highlighting the wrong.
They're all highlighted.
This is why you can't trust me to do anything on this.
Okay.
Jeez, Josh, get it together.
You're the most technologically advanced person in the company.
No, don't break the internet.
That's
Okay.
who we go to for tech support for everything.
Don't call Josh for tech support. Let's see. Number 25 is Kate.
Woo!
Yay!
Yay, Kate.
All of our first name friends are winning.
That's right.
Okay.
And the last
There, it's next.
negotiations goes to 30. Nope. Next. 45.
Whoa!
Mark
Like a Colt 45.
Beardsley. Mark. Okay. All right. I will ungray these out because now we're gonna do the next anthology.
Oh, you could win 2 books.
You could win 2 books. It's possible. This one is going to be Simon Says. It's from now why am I thinking of this guy's name? Schmidt. Brian Thomas Schmidt, is that right?
Brian Thomas Schmidt.
Yep. Okay. Here we go. Number 1. 38. Actually, you know what? I miscalculated, but we're going to do the counting right now. Is it up or down? It's down. So 37. Thomas Hoddle.
Woo!
Thomas Hoddle is
job.
Tom.
That's good because he's been on fire in the comment section. So.
Yeah,
I
he
know.
has.
You've been tearing it up.
Blowing it up. Okay, let's gray that out.
He says you may already be a winner.
You may or may
Already
not
be a
be.
loser.
Now let's see. Jack Erickson is next. Jack.
Woo, woo.
Okay. Next is number 1.
Oh.
Amanda.
Yay.
The last one shall be
That
the
person.
number of the counting shall be 3. Chad Boyer. All right.
All right. Congratulations.
Good. And that shall end our giveaway at 8. I don't know that we've ever given away 8.
It's exciting.
Let me see.
Those are pretty good odds. 8 out of 46. That's
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's legit.
Pretty good chance.
Legit.
We give away a whole bunch of stuff. By the way, if you're watching and you have not been on the list is the greatest place to be at because we give away hats, we give away coffee mugs, we give away mouse pads,
So good.
all our Keystroke gear, which you can get at keystrokemedium.com/store. You get all our stuff.
I need to get a t-shirt.
Audiobook codes coming up too.
They do what?
I think I should have some audiobook codes by then.
Oh,
Oh,
Very cool.
That's true.
yeah.
Okay. Well, Casey, Marissa, thank you guys so much for coming on the show.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
So much fun.
Yeah.
We had, I think, since we've started doing the simulcasting, this is our biggest show so far since we've done the simulcast.
Woo!
We had the most live viewers on this show than we had ever on a simulcast. I mean, we almost had like 40 people on our broadcast live.
Nice.
which
Nice.
doesn't ever happen. So
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
everybody came for Casey and
Thanks for
Marissa.
coming.
Scott and I are just gonna chop liver.
I mean, no, I'm not going to make that joke again. But yeah, it's like,
Well, Scott's box is enormous, so
A lot of box potential going on.
you are
everybody,
welcome.
that's right. Lou Holston says he's drinking from his KSM mug right now. Cha-ching! Yes.
Rocket Lou.
That's right, and he won it on a mediums giveaway, if I'm not mistaken. So that's
Pretty great.
bing, bada bing.
It's a circle
Jake
of
Lipton
life.
Sater says, "Great conversation. Thank you. Looking forward to the Marissa episode."
Me too. Me
Lou
too.
says, "Great show. Always a fun time." Bill Frisbee says, "Great those." Thank you, everybody that was in the live chat. Thank you guys so much for coming
Yeah,
and hanging out with us
Yes.
on Monday.
Okay.
You guys make the show so much better than it's just us boring people talking about books and
Right.
writing and
Books.
other
Boxes.
things.
It's fine.
I don't know who we have coming on next week. Let's see what's going on next week. I don't know.
I bet you we can embarrass them too if we try. Really hard.
Oh yeah, I think the
Yep.
goal of the show should be to embarrass.
Right. Somebody other than
Embarrass
just
the
myself.
guest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh,
Well, then you can start doing screenshots of blushes and see like if you can get a whole.
Yeah, who had the best blush?
That'd
Yeah,
be
that's right.
yeah, we'd do like a reel, you know.
Thursday's Halloween. Oh, we should have done a Halloween episode tonight, man.
You
That's
can wear your board
oh, I
costume.
just disconnected
Like,
my.
I'm sure I have a costume around here, so I can be in.
Now I can't hear myself talk.
That's-
Let's see. On Thursday,
Oh,
on
yeah.
Halloween, Lauren and Kayleen will have Mal Cooper on the writer's journey talking about pacing, cutting out the saggy middle. Oh,
Oh,
got a little. What is that?
it's a
It's a Depic.
epic.
Oh,
Yeah, Joint Laundry
nice.
made this for me for my
Mhm.
birthday
Yeah.
at Fantasy last year.
That's
Yeah,
legit.
the only one in existence
No,
so far.
there are two now, but I don't have.
Oh,
the
do you have
second
one?
No.
Oh.
No. I still feel. My feelings are still very hurt, Joy. I love you so much, and also my birthday is LibertyCon. I'm just saying.
What did that-
She's like, I want one. I want
Somebody pass that on.
and I don't know who we have coming on the show next week, but it's going to be a great show regardless of who comes on. So obviously you should come back. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you're listening on the audio feed, leave us a review on iTunes or Podbean somewhere. Let us know what you think about the show. Share us around. And thank you guys for watching. Casey and Marissa, again, thank you guys for coming on the show. It was a blast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody, for Scott Moon, I am Josh Hayes. Make sure you guys come back next week. We're going to talk about some reading, some writing, and everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium. Peace. End broadcast. End it.
Nope. Say something.
No.